Okay, there's that one. Let's get Instagram going. And Facebook. Come on. So this is going to be posted on Monday. So actually not, wait. What's today? Today is Wednesday. Yeah, the Monday after we get back from Marathon. Yep.
Got it.
Got that. And X.com. Keep getting all these alerts for that Amazon Fresh delivery, man. They tell you everywhere that driver's going with my goober and my English muffins. I mean, like when I buy something, I bought like a MacBook. They didn't tell me, like that detail. But man, these English muffins, I'm getting so many updates.
Got to make sure you get them in the fridge.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm just hoping somebody at French Quarter decides to throw them in the fridge. I don't know. I mean, I got Gatorade, water, English muffins, and some Pop-Tarts and goober. It's a real exciting order. And I threw in some Band-Aids because at the end, it's like, are you sure you got everything you need? And it had Band-Aids at the bottom. I'm like, that's a good idea. For $4, I better get some Band-Aids.
Yep, always.
Like, you know what?
I had regrets not getting Band-Aids.
Yeah, 100%. But because I could probably go down to the gift shop and get some. But if it's like 9:30 at night and I'm in my room and I have brand new shoes that I got 2 pair and I've worn each set one time. So exactly when I'm looking at my feet or like other places chafing.
Yep.
Like, yeah, the $3 or $4 for Band-Aids. Good call, Amazon. Throw those in the cart.
Better than getting $12 Mickey Band-Aids down there.
Exactly. I was like, let's do this. All right. So this is number 2829. All right, let's do this thing. Here we go. Welcome to episode 2829 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you and welcome back to everybody from Marathon Weekend 2026. I know some of you guys are still down there having fun at Walt Disney World. I'm headed back today, getting in this afternoon because, you got to get back to work. You play and then you got to pay. And that's just how it is. You got to get back to the office. You got to make podcasts. You got to help people plan those next Disney vacations. So everybody that's running Princess Half Marathon Weekend, guess what? You're now officially on the clock. Get ready. You're up next. But hey, good seeing everybody over Marathon Weekend. Proud of everybody for their accomplishments, getting out there, towing the line. And of course, we're going to have tons and tons of memories and recaps here on the show over the next couple of weeks. We've got a couple of shows already in the can this week for you because, how I am. I'm paranoid and don't want to miss a podcast. So I was, just in case, I don't know, we had mechanical issues. I couldn't get back to St. Louis and dreaming. We have shows ready for you. But we are going to talk Marathon Weekend. We're going to talk about all the races and all the great meals and meetups and all the good stuff. So be ready for that. That is coming your way soon. And of course, we always talk about that stuff live, real time over in the Clubhouse, over in the Discord channel. So come on over at beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse. But today, we've got a triple resort stay trip report. We're having a good time. We're headed to Philly. That's right. Philly. And I have an important question for our guest. Rob's joining us. Rob, happy Monday. What's up?
Hey, how's it going, Mike?
It's going good. So my first question to you is pro tush push or anti tush push from somebody from Philly? What do you think?
I was pro tush push when we had Jason Kelsey, but it's not as effective anymore. So I'm not tied to it. They can get rid of it if they want to. That's fine.
I think the Eagles actually have kind of abandoned it over the past little bit. They've kind of said, maybe we're not doing this anymore.
I think it's become a non-issue. We've kind of we're not doing it well anymore. So I think that's kind of a thing of the past for the most part.
Yeah, it was a hot thing there for a minute, and it's kind of cooled off. All right, so it's glad to have you on the show. I just had to, some really got to give you a hard time about that, but I usually ask folks, well, what do we know about your town? Well, we know about the Declaration of Independence and Independence Hall and all that stuff. But I mean, do you live like in a suburb of Philly or any kind of like something that's unique about your corner of Philadelphia or where you live? We tell the show.
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up in Philadelphia. I grew up in Northeast Philly, which is just one section of Philadelphia. Right now, I live in the suburbs of a town called Hatboro. Not a huge ton, although we have a building just down the street from us on York Road, where George Washington and his troops stayed during a battle during the American Revolution. So that's just down the street from us, and they actually have a restaurant in it now. So I've eaten in it, and it's kind of cool to just be in a restaurant that George Washington was hanging out in at one point. So that's pretty neat.
That is wild. See, like I love history, and just to think about that, that is insane. But I mean, it's Philadelphia. Like
Yeah.
that's amazing. Like I mean, I'd imagine that's a huge tourist attraction, right? A lot of folks. I mean, is that well known? Do people come there from all over, or what?
No, honestly, it's not well known. I mean, because there's so much going on in Philadelphia that this is just a blip. But it's one of those things where I just saw a little sign and then I looked it up on Wikipedia and did some digging around and found out, it's the oldest building in our area. And there was a battle. I think it was called the Battle of Belay. And we did actually lost that battle, but George Washington and his troops were up in there for a night while they were advancing forward. So not a huge touristy thing in our area, but it's a neat little piece of history for us.
One of our listeners, Andrew, who's been with us since the show started back in 2008, huge history buff, huge historian, is going to love that we talked history at some George Washington and Philly right off the top of the show. So that's for you, Andrew. Got to love that. I know because he's always talking about it on social media. I love that. All right. So real quick, let's get a little what's your backstory with Disney? You always been a lifelong Disney fan, something more current? How do we find you here listening to a podcast like this?
Yeah, so I went to Disney World a couple times when I was young. That my first experience was 9 years old in 1993. We drove down from Philadelphia. We did the long drive in the minivan. Grandmom had all the chicken cutlet sandwiches, so we didn't have to stop for food on the way.
That's
And
great.
and stopped at a couple hotels, and we were down there. And I don't remember every detail from that trip, but I just remember enjoying it immensely. And then as I was growing up, it wasn't that big of a deal to me. We went one other time when I was a teenager, but as an adult, I never thought that I'd be excited to go back to Disney World. And then we had our first daughter, Layla, and she was only just about to turn 2 years old at the time. And people were saying, "Wait, well, why don't you wait until she's older to do something like that?" And we thought, "No, we're gonna give it a shot." And we went down there. It was a shorter trip. We stayed off site, went into the park only like half the time. But man, it was so exciting just seeing her on the rides and seeing Disney World through her eyes. On that trip, we didn't even go on any rides that were like adult type rides because we had a 2 year old and we were just excited about that. And we actually announced the birth of the pregnancy of our second child from Disney World there. But after that, we kind the hooks were in. And the trips we just continued to take trips from there. And when my second daughter Piper turned 2, we took another trip for a week and a half, and we've been now a handful of times, 5 or 6 times, and we've also visited Disneyland Paris, and so we have plans to go to Tokyo Disneyland and California Disneyland. So we're all in at this point, but wasn't expecting that in the beginning.
Yeah, I'd say you're totally all in if you're going worldwide with this whole thing. So you've done Paris already, and you're going to go over to Tokyo. Now, so you still haven't been to California though.
No, we've not made it out to Disneyland California, which seems like a pretty easy one. And I've heard you talking about it.
Yeah,
I heard there's a lot of
you will love
exciting
it.
things.
Yeah.
So in 2027, we're actually we're gonna do a little cruise, which this is gonna shock you as well. But I've never been on a cruise.
Well, see,
So
well, it kind of does, but like I love though. See, I'm super jealous of you to be honest, kind of because you're all in on the Disney thing, kind of like we all are here, right? I mean, we're all Disney
yeah,
fans at the highest level, but Scott and I talk about this. Scott and I talk about the weirdest things all the time, like texting and just like offline and stuff. And one of those things is how you can never have that first experience again, right? You only get one shot at your first time at a, like in a park. And I was so lucky because I hadn't been to, because I mean, I made the mistake of not going to Disneyland. I made excuses forever and ever and ever. Like, oh, it's too far. It's only 2 parks. They don't have the transportation. They don't, it's too small, blah, 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 blah. And I was scared to fly forever. So it's too inconvenient. But then when I went in 22, I was like, oh my gosh, where's this been my whole life? Disneyland is so like I kept telling Scott, dude, Disneyland's so much better than Walt Disney World. It's so much better because it's easier. It's everything. The nostalgia is so thick because I'm a nostalgia guy. I'm a retro guy. I'm like, this is perfect. Walt's like walking down Main Street with me. I can feel him. He's right here. And he's like, shut up, dude. I get it. You like Disneyland. I'm like, dude, I love Disneyland. Stop. But I love that I had that. I got in 22, I got a brand new Disney experience that was just thick. And I'm so jealous because like, you're going to get that again. You got all these things. And so that's really cool because you're in like that.
Yeah. So we're going to go up there in 27. We're going to cruise out of Seattle to do the Alaska cruise. And then we're going to kind of hop down to Oregon and then hop down to Anaheim and do our Disneyland trip. So I'm excited about that for a few reasons, obviously, but as far as Disney goes, it'll be exciting to check out a new park and, see the differences and kind of experience it. Like you said, getting those new experiences and seeing how it compares.
Plus your girls are going to be the right age. I mean, your kids, perfect age. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Because we'll jump into your trip, but I mean, when you get to Disneyland, you get those, you can lose yourself in Fantasyland with, especially like with your kids are going to be the perfect age. You like the Storybook Canal boats and, Mr. Toad's weird, but it's an awesome ride. And, all those little cute little Peter Pan's better out there. Pinocchio. It's Alice in Wonderland. It's just, oh my gosh. I'm sorry. You're going to love, guys. Again, I wanted, like Scott always kept saying, you got to go with me. You got to go. And I was like, I will. And then I finally did. And I was like, because we went together, I was like, this is awesome. Now I want to go with everybody else. So I'm like, come on, let's go. I'm going to take you. I'm just like, let's do this, and this, because it is so cool. But okay, so let's talk about the trip because we got a lot to talk about. I want to hear your thoughts. So now this trip, I mean, we tease it at the top, triple split stay, 3 resorts. So was this out of necessity? Was this because you wanted to experience 3 different hotels? I mean, 3, it's not a typical stay. How'd this come about?
Yeah, there was a few reasons for that. I mean, one of the things is I'm a planner, so I like to organize things for maximum efficiency. I sent you over that spreadsheet of my trip, and that was kind of a dumbed down version of what I really had planned out. So I'm a planner, and so like for instance, having Boardwalk Inn as the main part of our trip for convenience to walk into Hollywood Studios and Epcot was a huge thing. But another part of it was just spreading out our trip and enjoying different hotels. And so, when we started our trip in Saratoga Springs, it was more just let's relax, let's enjoy ourselves. Let's not just hit the ground running. It was kind of a lessons learned type of thing because in past trips we've gotten down there, arrived at the airport and just kind of went straight to Disney World. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But we just wanted to take a different path this time. And so it was kind of fun to spread it out where Saratoga Springs was more or less our relaxation and Boardwalk Inn was more for like the parks. And then Animal Kingdom, we just wanted to experience that safari or the Savannah View room, which was something else. So there was multiple reasons, but that's kind of sums it up.
I think Disney would love to hear that you gave that much thought into your planning. And again, like when I looked at the Google sheet, I'm like, whoa. Because I'll be honest, I went on a marathon weekend with 0 ADRs, no planning. I mean, because I'm by myself, it's a whole different experience. You're going with your family and all that. So I was going down there to run and, eat corn dog nuggets and stuff like that. It wasn't a business trip, but I mean, the focus was obviously the races and meeting everybody. And, I'll jump in meals here and there if I can, whatever. And I'm a counter service guy, but like the level of your planning, it shows that like you were thinking about this all the time and tweaking and modifying. But again, I think for our audience, that is what a Disney trip experience is. It's not the 6 days, the 7 days, the 5 days, whatever it is when you're on property. It's the 6 months of coming to a discussion board or texting, aunt and uncle that are traveling with you or whoever, and just having the discussion, having the thought in your mind, reading in the shower. What if instead of going to Deluxe Burger, we upgrade it to going to the Edison that night, and that kind of, is that kind of what keeps you going? Like, until the trip comes up, you're always tweaking and modifying and thinking about you said the word efficiency, and I'm very much that kind of person too.
Yeah. Efficiency is one of the aspects of it. The other is, I enjoy planning. And I know for some people they hear that and they go, "Oh, what is wrong with you?" A lot of my family thinks that. But my wife and I were both
you know what though? I bet they appreciate that they have you in the family because people that don't like planning, they love having a planner though.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But like the planning, so I think there's three aspects to a trip that you get to enjoy. You get to enjoy the anticipation of it, you get to enjoy the actual trip, and then you get to enjoy the memories from the trip. So I like to embrace all three of those elements. And so, yeah, for me, putting this spreadsheet together and tweaking it, and asking my wife if, oh, should we move Millennium Falcon up to 9? Should we go, to 50's prime time for lunch instead of dinner? Like those were just all fun ways to just continue to talk about the trip and get excited about the trip and think about how we can best utilize our time when we're on the trip. I always say, like, the beauty of a Disney World trip is you can plan so much. If you plan it well enough, you can get down there and kind of go into autopilot,
Right.
um,
So true.
which is a beautiful thing. So, and different trips are you have different purposes, but this was a trip where we wanted to hit on certain things. We wanted to make memories for the girls, get them to see characters, and so we wanted to plan it out in a way that we thought we could make it all work.
I love that. And I'm the same way. Like, my wife really doesn't care. She's like, we'll go down there, we'll have a good time. She's just like, tell me what time the flight is. What time do we got to leave for the airport? I trust that we're gonna have a good time. Like, this is what you do. Like, just like you. I mean, you do it just as much as your trip is gonna be planned probably better than my trip, because I don't worry about my own. I worry about my guests at the agency. But like, I'll talk to her at dinner every night, like, well, what do you think about this? She's like, but she lets me talk about it, but she's like, it doesn't matter. Like, what if we go to Epcot this day? Okay. She always says, okay. She doesn't care. Like, but at least she humors me, right? I mean, she at least listens while I eat my chicken wrap at dinner, or something.
And different things work for different people and different personalities. I always say, like, I've gone on trips with people, like extended family members, friends, and stuff like that. I'm almost a little scared to take a trip to Disney World with people outside my immediate family, just because I want them to still be friends with me afterwards. And I don't know if that level of planning is too much. Just too much,
point.
like.
That's a great point. Do you want to come home and still be speaking? Exactly. That's oh my God, you're killing me. This is great. Okay, so I want to kind of break this down into 3 resorts, kind of 3 chunks. But before that, I want to talk about the pre-trip with the kids. So how do you I'm sure they're amped up, they're excited to be headed down, or do you not tell them until like right before? Like, what's your pre-trip strategy at the house with the kids?
So I don't always have the same strategy. We took a short trip down to Disney World once for like 4 days, and we actually picked them up at school half day and had a sign out there for them, and they were all surprised, and that was super exciting for them. They had shirts for their favorite rides and stuff like that, and it was exciting. But as my wife and I were talking about it, we love the anticipation of a trip,
Mhm.
and I know you do too, right? Just thinking about it, talking about it, and so I feel like kids are that way too. They're getting to the age they've already been to Disney World a few times, and so like there's something they know what to think about as they're anticipating it. So for this particular trip, they knew, way up front when we were going, and even had their input on, like, hey guys, would you like to go to this restaurant or that restaurant? Because it's kind of fun, especially with the oldest, with Layla and Piper the second, that we can start to ask their feedback. Like, do you like these rides? Do you like this, this breakfast, this dinner? They've been there a couple times. So that was exciting to just kind of get their feedback and their excitement for it. We have like a little chalkboard up in our sunroom where we would have a countdown for how many days, and they would update it every day. So that's how we kind of approach this one.
I love that, because that gives you that, just like it almost like it's like not a team building activity, but it builds camaraderie around like a family goal, like a family, everybody's rallying towards the day, like, oh, guess what today is? 7 days until the trip. We have 1 week, and it's everybody gets excited together. That's part of the memory building. It's the whole experience.
Absolutely.
I love that. Pulling down the link off the chain, whatever it is, big paper chain. There's so many ways to do it. Okay, so let's talk about it. So let's kind of break it down. That's the Saratoga Springs part of the trip, the relaxing, kind of easing into the trip. You're over by Disney Springs. So first of all, what'd you think of Saratoga, and how was that? Did that work? Was that chill working in? Tell us about that part.
Yeah, I thought Saratoga Springs was a great resort, and also to preface this, our previous Disney World trips, we've always stayed at like Pop Century and those types of hotels. So this is our first time we dipped our toes into any sort of deluxe resort in Disney World. So Saratoga Springs then was our first deluxe, Disney World resort, and we loved it. It was perfect for what we wanted on this portion of our trip, which was just relaxing. They have the High Rock spring pool. It was just a nice setup, just grabbing, grilled cheeses and snacks by the pool. So that was great. The resort itself, I thought as we went to each resort, they got progressively better in my mind. But I thought Saratoga Springs was great, and we got to take it easy. We did a character breakfast at Chef Mickey's one morning, so we drove over to the Contemporary. And then actually, I asked a question on Be Our Guest a few months, maybe a month prior to our trip, and you guys gave me some great advice. And it had to do with the Starlight Parade. And I asked whether or not we should, try to like kind of hit the Starlight Parade and the fireworks show all in one shot. And your advice was essentially just if you have the ability to just focus on the parade one night and just camp out for that good spot, then do it. And I took that advice and I don't regret it. That was, great advice. So on that particular day, that was like our last full day in Saratoga Springs. We went and got princess makeovers. The girls got all dressed up like princesses. One was Elsa, one was Jasmine, and the other was Snow White. The 3-year-old was Snow White. And then we went over and we went to Storybook Dining and enjoyed a dinner there. And that was that was a fabulous experience. That was our first time eating there. And it was just the ambiance was great. It was just really fun time. And then from there we took that boat over to Magic Kingdom, and we just staked out our spot nice and early. We were exactly where we wanted to be, and we got great views of the parade. It was perfect. The kids didn't have to lean over to see over anyone's shoulders. We were right in the front row. So if I would have done it my initial way, we would have probably regretted that. So that's part of the planning, right? Reaching out to podcasts and blogs and stuff, and getting some advice from the experts on what their thoughts are. And it was incredibly helpful. So thank you for that.
I'm glad we're rolling tape here because that's, the first time in 18 years that we got something right on a listener question. So we got it. We got one there, Pam, Ricky. There we go. We're marking it down now. I appreciate that. But oh my gosh, let me just tell you, from a guy who just had his youngest daughter turn 18 this past week, that's the day you're going to remember forever, right? I mean, your little girl's there dressed up as princesses. You're riding around over, in a boat over to Storybook Dining and watching, the glowing parade coming down, through the Magic Kingdom. I mean, as a dad, I mean, it's gotta be like one of the greatest nights of your life right there. I mean, it's just that is why you work so hard every day of your life to have moments like that, right? That's it.
Yeah, it's an amazing experience. And I did find myself distracted between looking at the parade and then looking over at them, looking at the parade. Constantly wanting to see their reaction to things. And yeah, you plan all this, you put money aside, you work hard to get to this moment. And you want it to be an enjoyable experience for them and something that's memorable for them, and that as a result it's memorable for me and my wife. So that was an awesome experience, and definitely one of the highlights of the trip. And other parts of the Saratoga Springs resort stay were nice too. We love Disney Springs, but we just feel like we're always squeezing it in, like just a quick dinner over there and then pop back. And so that was the beauty of staying at Saratoga Springs as well. And this is back to my efficiency and planning is I kind of planned it so that this portion of the trip we would take advantage of Disney Springs, since you can just walk right over there. So we did that and ate at the Boathouse one night, and then T-Rex Cafe for the kids who love that type of experience, and enjoyed some Gideon cookies, and then got ice cream at the Salt and Straw, which I've never gotten ice cream at before, and I thought that was a really really fun place. Had some good unique ice cream flavors. So
I was gonna ask you what, because they have the weirdest flavors to me. Because I'm just more of like a chocolate chip cookie dough kind of guy. Like that's a lot for me. Like I normally just get chocolate or vanilla, maybe hot fudge, but yeah, chocolate chip cookie dough is going a little out there, man. They have some funky flavors there. So what'd you get at Salt and Straw? What was your go-to?
So my wife was more adventurous, and I don't even remember what she got. I just remember she got something, and I just looked at her sideways, like I don't know about that.
It's like the sole of my left, running shoe flavor or something. I'm like, what are you ordering? Like, what is that? Who's gonna buy that? Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So I'm like you. I'm a traditional ice cream flavor, cookies and cream, cookie dough. So they had a salted caramel cookie dough.
All right. I could do that,
and that wasn't too crazy. So that's what I ended up with, and that was perfect, and is about as adventurous as I'll get. as far as my ice cream flavors go.
Yeah, I mean, people love the place. There's always a line at Disney. There's one at Disneyland too, in downtown Disney, their Disney Springs thing, and it's
Okay.
always busy. I mean, trust me, and I've gone to the one at Disney Springs. It's because they do have regular flavors. But I'm just saying, like some of those flavors I looked up there, I'm like,
Yeah, they're out there.
people order that on purpose. Okay, I got it. So wait, real quick though, T-Rex, it gets a lot of love in our Discord server. So the big hit with the kids, I guess. And I mean, I've heard the food's pretty good. You know what? I just want to go there myself. I like dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think the experience is what drives that place for us.
Yeah.
There's places I would maybe pick over T-Rex Cafe if I'm just getting a meal. I don't think me and my wife would just, my wife and I would go down there and
Valentine's Day.
eat a burger at T-Rex Cafe, with all the options at Disney Springs. But the food is good. We've enjoyed our meals every time we've been there, and we've been there pretty much every time because the kids love it. The dinosaur, the whole place lights up and gets all, the lights start going on and off every 20 minutes or so, and the roars from the dinosaur. So they love it. So it's a staple until they tell us they're over it.
I like it. All right, so let's go into the mid part of the trip over to the boardwalk. I love the boardwalk. My favorite, speaking of marathon weekend that just wrapped, my favorite marathon weekend was 2017 when we stayed at the boardwalk with Scott's family. We had adjoining rooms. That was the year that the half marathon got rained out, and we still ran it out in the rain, and some of us ran it in the middle of the night and almost got struck by lightning, Mike Bankhead. But it was the weirdest marathon weekend ever, but it was the best because of all the weirdness of it. But we stayed at the boardwalk, and it was wonderful because of the accessibility of the studios and Epcot and everything. So what was your thoughts on that stay? Because it is a very different hotel experience, right? Because you have the theme parks right there, and it's, Saratoga's on a golf course and Disney Springs and water. And it's just, well, I guess Boardwalk's on Crescent Lake, but what'd you think?
Yeah, so I think like when you're at Saratoga Springs, you could almost forget you're not at Disney World, right?
Right.
You could think you're just at a regular resort, but once you're at Boardwalk Inn, you're in Disney World, and there's no getting out of it. There's no hiding from it. So, for being people that really love Disney World, this is when the excitement kicked in overdrive. We actually, because we took advantage of that first day at a hotel, you get the free water park.
Mhm.
So before we even checked in there, we went to Blizzard Beach, and enjoyed a fun day there. We actually got one of, and this is not a splurge we would typically do, but we got one of those cabanas where we could just hang out as a family and get food brought over. So that was a lot of fun. And then we got to Boardwalk, and that was kind of like the start of like, all right, we're down to business here. Now we're getting into the meat of things. And so the hotel though itself, I love that whole area. Just walking around there, being from the Philadelphia area, it does have that Jersey Shore kind of flair to it, that I grew up with for some of my summer vacations. So that whole area is a lot of fun, and we liked the character dining at Cape May, and just the way that the lobby in the Boardwalk Inn is just, it's so cool looking. Every time I walk through there, I was the coffee runner in the morning to fill up our mugs. And so every morning I just loved it. I would just walk down there, or sometimes as the sun was rising, just to walk out there on that boardwalk. It was beautiful. So just as far as the area, I know you're right in the thick of it, but they do a good job of also just kind of, it still had that peaceful feel to it, that serene kind of by the shore feel to it. And I really enjoyed that. And and it was great for access to the parks, especially with younger ones. It allowed us a little flexibility, right? If we had to go back for a nap or an earlier night, we didn't have to worry about what transportation we were going to get, and that was a luxury we've never experienced before. So just walking back from Epcot for after the fireworks, for instance, was just was awesome. So we love the boardwalk.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, like, I don't have the connection to it, because I'm not from the East Coast, but I just love the beauty of the boardwalk. I mean, it's like an era kind of thing, because it's just American, culture. But if you look at my camera roll on my phone, I have, just like you said, I have so many sunrise and sunset pictures of Crescent Lake on the boardwalk. I mean, just because it's gorgeous. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just, I cannot stop taking pictures of like the friendship boats moving around out on Crescent Lake with like the lights on the boardwalk sign on the hotel. Just, especially at night now with the entertainment they have back out there again, it kind of comes to life. There's stuff to do. You can walk around, get a corn dog, maybe get some ice cream. It's a good time. So let's talk about the times in the theme parks though, because I'm sure your kids had a good time there. I mean, it's why you're
Yeah.
there. So what were some of the highlights?
Yes. I mean, it was a blast all around. We had the lightning lanes to make sure, like, my kids are very impatient kids, and so we tried our best to to figure that all out. But my 9-year-old Layla, she's the adventure seeker. She's the thrill seeker. There's it almost is disturbing how unafraid of rides she is at 9 years old.
You're in
Um,
trouble.
she'll go on anything, and for me, it's exciting to see because I like going on rides, but I'm also getting to that age where there's a couple rides at Disney World that are starting to impact me. I'm good with drops and all. It's those rides that kind of shoot real fast. So and if you don't know where you're going, that really increases. So Expedition Everest was a real labor of love to go on with her on that one, but she's a lot of fun. And then my middle child Piper, she's historically not like to go on a lot of the thrill seeking rides. We try to push her a little bit just to make sure she enjoys her experience, but not do anything that would make her uncomfortable. So like our big push initially was like, let's try Slinky Dog Dash. Let's try to get you on Slinky Dog Dash. And I bribed her. I think with something, some a bubble machine maker or money. I don't know what it was.
I mean, what you got to do as a dad. I've been
Yeah.
there 100 times. Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to make you go on this. I'm just telling you this is what you'll get if you go on it.
100%.
And she decided to go on it. And what was crazy throughout the trip is she just became more and more adventurous as the trip went on. So she's only like 44, 46 inches maybe. And she was going on, the mine train. She went on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh man, you lit a fuse, Rob. You better be careful.
I couldn't believe it. And actually at one point we got in line, our family got in line for Tron, and we were doing the rider swap because our youngest Scarlett isn't old enough to go on a lot of these rides. And we assumed Piper was not going to want to go on it. And she's like, no, I want to go on this. She ended up being a half inch short.
I like a rocket.
Yeah. She was devastated that she couldn't go on it, but it was just amazing that she went from this like, hey, can we get you on the swings or something really basic, and to like being on Guardians of the Galaxy and Avatar, and I was like, wow. So it was exciting to see her kind of embrace, even though not quite the same way as Layla does, but like she embraced it and started to like, appreciate those types of experiences. So those were some of my most fun memories. And then of course there was lots of good food along the way. We ended up doing probably most days 2 table service meals, and for us that was just a good way to take a break.
Yes.
And a forced break in air conditioning. We were there in August, so it wasn't cool, and it just gave us that downtime, which was nice.
So I'm going to ask you a little bit more about the restaurant, a couple more restaurants. But before I do that, since Disney just announced to bring back Cool Kids Summer again this summer, which is awesome, but this is going to be a little bit more limited. It's going to be from basically Memorial Day to Labor Day ish. Did you guys get to participate in any of those activities? Did you see any of that stuff happening, or, have any interactions with that stuff?
Yeah, the most memorable one I can think of was when we were in Epcot in the what's it called? The Common Core, or I forget the name.
The Communicore over there. The
Communicore. Yeah, they had Goofy was out there dancing with the kids, and my 3-year-old especially ate that up. But the kids were just out there dancing, and it just seems like a little thing, but for them, that was a huge thrill that they got to just go out there and dance. They weren't, waiting in a line to just get a picture real quick, or even at the character breakfast, it's like, a quick interaction. But this was like a good, 10 minutes of just dancing around there with Goofy and just having fun. So that was neat to watch.
That's okay. So back to the meals. You mentioned you did Storybook and Chef Mickey. So what were some of the other favorites? Did the girls say what, maybe from their perspective, what their favorite was? Was it Chef Mickey's because of the Fab Five, or was it something else?
So my girls like the buffet options. They like when they can go up there and pick their own food.
I'm the same way. I mean, I'm like a 5-year-old. I can't.
Yeah. So Chef Mickey's has been a classic for us. But I think some of the princess meals even top those. So we did 1900 Park Fare.
Nice.
I think that had some of the best food as far as a breakfast buffet goes.
That does have really, really good food. You're right. It's so good. Yeah.
And it was on my birthday. We went to Hollywood and Vine for breakfast, and I don't know. Sometimes I think that place gets a bad rap, but they have some very unique breakfast items. They had like eggs Benedict, and they have like a chicken and waffles, and it was a little empty that day. And the all the characters, the Fancy Nancy and Goofy and all, they must have came to our table like 7 times in the course of a meal. Which for my girls, they loved it, and so they just had a great time. They were dancing out there with them. So I think they liked they like those breakfast meals, and then the 20 times they ask for a snack throughout the day.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. That's what kids do. Yeah, I mean, Scott's really high on Hollywood and Vine. I haven't been there for years, like since Mallory was little. And like I said, she's 18 now. But I remember like the last time we went there, I think it was like Handy Manny, and I can't remember. I can remember what they looked like. I don't even know what the guy's name was. He was looked like kind of like a clown. But yeah, it was oh man, it was forever ago. But yeah, Scott's big on the place. So and man, I'm all about eggs Benedict. When you said that, my ears perked up. That's like my favorite besides biscuits and gravy. That's my favorite breakfast food.
yeah, I mean, when you walk in there, it's underwhelming looking, but it's really the food. The spread is really good. The characters interaction has always been great, and so yeah, we have no complaints at all.
Real quick, because you guys were going to the parks now, like spending time in the theme parks, but it was August, like you said. So any tips for folks when you have, three smallerish kids and obviously probably afternoon breaks and anything like that for folks that are planning those summer trips for this summer with littler ones?
Well, we make sure we have my wife. This is where my wife really thrives, and just making sure we're still in that like stroller season with our 3-year-old. And for Disney World, stroller season really extends to like I think like 6 years old almost. But so she does a great job of like having everything in our stroller that we could possibly need. We have waters, we have cooling fans and cooling towels and all that good stuff. But the thing I think of, people make a big deal of Disney World in August, and it's so hot and all, but we would check the temperature up in Philadelphia, and most of the times it'd be within 5 degrees. It's not
Agreed. Yep.
it's not that much of a difference. The only difference is I can walk in any building and they're blasting the air condition at like 65, and it feels great. One of the things we would do though is like try to during the midday find shows. That's a good way to just like the Lion King show in Animal Kingdom. Like that was a great way to like spend 45 minutes of your afternoon just cooling off while still enjoying something. So stuff like that was nice. Or one day in Hollywood Studios, we went to Oga's and got to hang out in there and just let the girls look around while we get some overpriced snacks. But it was still it was the experience was a lot of fun. So I think it's just preparation. Not making too big of a deal out of it. As long as you're prepared with the things, it's not going to be much different than when you go in June. At least in our opinion, it seems that way.
I agree. And you just can't. The other thing too, I think, for folks that maybe at their first timers, they're just tuning in, they're getting ready to go on there, because I think you just got to kind of just, listen to a few things. Like just don't push the envelope on the summer trips. You know what? Like cut your losses, because if you get hot, go back, take a swim, take a nap, you know what, and rally, because in the summer you usually have longer hours. So,
Yeah,
2 hours in the middle of the afternoon back in your room, taking a nap, and then coming, popping out of your room at 7 or 8 o'clock at night and doing like 2 or 3 hours in the park later on that evening, then you're refreshed and you feel better. And, it's not, you should not power through in the summer and try to stay in the park all day. It's too, with little ones, you're doing them a disservice. They can't do it.
yeah, and I planned a lot of things, but you still have to be flexible when you get there. And I think sometimes when I'm planning my trip, if I would have shown you my original spreadsheet, like my eyes were bigger than my stomach kind of thing, right? And you had so many things going on, and like one of the you call it a misstep, but like we booked the firework dessert party, and that was about towards the end of our trip, and well, the first night in Epcot we were there, we realized our kids do not like fireworks at all, and were not fans of it. And the day came that we had the dessert party, and they were just super exhausted, which I knew would set up for probably a difficult moment. And it was one of those situations where it's like, not to be wasteful with money, but we're not going to just go there just because we spent the money. We did this to create memories for the kids. So sometimes you have to cut your losses like that. It wasn't maybe the wisest decision to book that when we did, or we should have taken them to a state fair and made sure they were good with fireworks.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? that as a parent, you learn that stuff, but sometimes you don't learn it until you have the experience. I mean, there's so many times I did the exact kind of thing. Like I just didn't realize it until I was like right point blank, like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I didn't even know this. Yeah. That's, I mean, what you did though was very thoughtful for the other patrons. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I know I've just, I mean, I'm just saying from my personal experience, I've been to many experiences like that. I mean, maybe not a fireworks dessert party, but something similar where, I'm there and I'm paying extra money for said experience, and this family rolls in and these kids shouldn't be there. It's not the kids' fault, but it's
Yep.
because the kids have been up since 7 o'clock a.m. and it's 11 p.m. and they're screaming, but it's not their fault, dude. They've been going for 15 hours. Like there's no way I could do a 15-hour day. And, I was 42 at the time, like, it's just, those kids are exhausted. They've been, they're hungry, they're tired, they're hot, they're hot. And like, yeah, they're going to be screaming and crying. Like you pushed them way past their limit 7 hours ago. Like, but you helped everybody else out, to be honest.
Yeah, you live and you learn. I mean, when you're laying in your bed with your laptop out and you're planning everything, you're like, yeah, we could do that. That'll be just fine. And sometimes you don't know till you get into the situation. And our previous trip, we booked things even tighter. So we learned lessons from the past trip, and we'll learn lessons from this trip that will incorporate the next time we get in there to make sure that the girls have as good a time as possible. But yeah, we don't want our kids to be forced through a situation that they're not enjoying, and we also don't want to make an experience someone else paid $200 or $300 for, less enjoyable, because we want to get our money's worth and make sure we get a couple extra cupcakes. I mean, that's not what it's about.
Yeah, big picture. That's kind of the thing. Sometimes it's hard to see the big picture when you're in it, but big picture sometimes. I think when you get like, I'm getting older, right? And I kind of always try to see the big picture nowadays. It's a little bit easier. All right, so finally, Animal Kingdom, third part. What'd you think of staying over at the lodge?
That park, I mean, that lodge is just absolutely beautiful. We've been there in the past to eat at Boma and Sana, which are some of our favorites to eat at, but we never got to stay in it. And I was like, I don't know if we'll stay in Animal Kingdom Lodge ever again, but if we're gonna do it, let's do the Savannah View. And I remember just reading up to it. Some people were like, well, you might not see any animals depending on where you're at and this and that. We saw giraffes and all sorts of animals every single morning in the middle of the day. Every time we walked out of there, have some coffee in the morning, there were animals out there, and so that was really nice. I thought that the pool was really good place to hang out. I enjoyed that immensely, and just the general ambiance of the hotel as a whole is just it's I love that. It's kind of got not a rustic looking like Wilderness Lodge does, but something akin to that, with a lot of the wood overlays and stuff. We really enjoy that, and like I said, it's got two of our favorite restaurants in there. Sana, the bread service is just like
Oh my gosh, I know. It's so good. I could just order two of those and I'm good to go. I mean, let's go. That's fine.
we said the same thing. We're like, let's just keep getting bread service. I mean, they didn't look at us weird. We probably just would say, let's get 4 orders of the bread service
Yeah.
and call it a
Yeah, all
night.
the
Um, yeah, but Animal Kingdom, yeah, Animal Kingdom was just it was a beautiful layout, and so each area, each hotel had its own touch to it that made it special. It made it a nice fit for the part of the trip we were in. So yeah, I could sit there and rank them, but really they each serve their own purpose where they were for our trip, which was really nice. The only problem is towards the end of the trip, I got like a stomach bug, and so thankfully we had such a long trip planned. It wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't ideal either, but it was nice to have the Savannah view when I wasn't feeling 100%.
right.
You can sit out there and check that out. So it worked out nicely on that front.
Yeah, it's better to have it there than like All Star Sports or something. You don't have much to look at. Like you can look at a big
Yeah,
team with tennis balls in the stairwell or something. It's I mean, it's pretty cool, but it's not as cool as a giraffe, like walking past your
yeah.
balcony. So we're gonna wrap here, but I mean, what a great trip though. I mean, you got to make all these memories with the kids and your wife, and these great meals and fun times at the theme parks and 3 deluxe resorts. Let me ask you this though. Was it would you do 3 resorts in one stay again? Did you like the different kind of pop, 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 3 different experiences, or would you rather have maybe 2 resorts or one longer kind of where you could settle in and have like one home base? What was your thought on the triple split stay idea?
I loved it. I wouldn't hesitate to do it again. We were already talking about, and I don't know which way we would land, but what other, ways could we do this? Maybe staying at the Polynesian and then the Boardwalk, or how we would want to split it up. But I thought it's great because Disney World makes it so easy to go from hotel to hotel. It was not a burden at all. We brought down the stuff to the lobby and we went about our day. And when we got back at the end of the day to the new hotel, everything was there. So I think it's great because it does a couple things. It allows you to really experience a hotel, more than just going there for a meal. You get to just be there for a couple days. And the other thing is, if you plan your trip strategically, you could do it in a way where maybe you stay at the Boardwalk Inn when you're doing more days at Epcot and Hollywood Studios, or maybe you stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge when you're planning on going to Blizzard Beach and Animal Kingdom. And if you like Disney Springs, Saratoga Springs is great. I mean, to just walk over there and grab a meal and walk back eating some Gideon's cookies, you can't beat that. So I would encourage people, once you plan it, once you put it together, um, once you're down there, it's a piece of cake, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I've done splits. I don't think I've ever done three, but that you're tempting me. Like this.
Do it.
The only thing is, I always feel homeless on the change day. But you're right; it's not hard. As long as you have like the stuff you need with you, like your medication and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just like your go bag, like your day bag. You're good. But
Yeah, and that's where my wife came in. She just, on those transition days, she had an outfit change for the girls. We had the things we needed to have, and by 4 o'clock that afternoon, we were good to go if we needed to go back to the room. But most of those days, we were just out and about anyway, and
yeah.
wouldn't have needed to go back to our room. So it was a moot point for us.
All right, well, hey, I appreciate you sitting down with us. What a great way to start the week. We didn't get to talk about one resort, two resort. We got to talk about three. And our listeners, we love talking about the hotels. I mean, that's where the good stuff is. So we got to talk about theme parks, restaurants, everything. So Rob, from one marathoner to another, because I know you just completed the Philly Marathon not too long ago. Congratulations on that. And you're an ultra marathoner, so I'm in awe of that. That is amazing. I appreciate you taking the time. Thanks for coming on the show today, bud.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I appreciate it, and good luck on your races.
Well, hopefully they're over by now.
Sorry about
let's hope. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Good job.
Let's hope, because we have everybody. You guys all know we recorded this before I left. Here we go. All right, don't forget, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. Please use that as often as you can. And you become a patron of the show. It's only $5 a month. And for that, you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Thanks to all of our patrons. You guys are the best. You keep us on the air. So a huge thank you to each and every one of you. You can support us again, coming over patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. You can follow me on the social media at beourguestmike. All my photos and videos are up from Marathon Weekend over on Instagram. It's again, Be Our Guest Mike over on Instagram, also on x.com and Threads. Join us in the clubhouse. That's our Discord server. That is where all the action happens 24/7. It's like a live chat room, message board place. Your invitation's waiting for you. It's free for everybody. So coming over, beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse, and we'll have a live call-in show this Sunday night, I believe. So stay tuned. We may have to miss it because I may be going to a basketball game for my daughter, but probably have a call-in show. So join us this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. You know the places: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. But stay tuned because there could be news on that. We'll find out. All right. So for Rob out in Philly, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. When I record these suckers out of order, I can never remember what's going to I don't know what the Sunday is. I know I'm going to one of Paige's basketball games in Carbondale, but I don't know when that is. So maybe who knows. Anyway.
Sorry, I got ahead of the marathon there.
Dude, I don't care. We blew the whole record live like 17 years ago. So it's a joke at this point. So do you listen to any running podcasts?
Yeah, I used to. The big one I would listen to for the longest time is Rogue Running. Have you ever heard
Rogue, like ROGUB?
Yeah, they're based out of Austin, Texas.
Okay.
They got a lot of really, really good marathon. They're marathon focused training. But there's hundreds of podcasts from them, and they kind of have a similar style to Be Our Guest, where like it's informative and also just fun telling stories about races and experiences and stuff. It's got a lot of overlap with your podcast and that just a different topic.
I appreciate that because I was always I'm looking for always new shit because I just love listening to podcasts and I don't have a ton of running ones. I listen to one called The Negative Splits, and it's just because they're not serious. It's like two brothers and their friend, and they used to do a lot of running like 5-6 years ago, and now they're kind of like older dudes that just kind of run a little bit now. And like it's just like you've been with them. Like if you've been with them forever, it's just like listening to three dudes hanging out at a bar at this point. So I don't know if people like new to them would like them but they're funnier than anything. But yeah, I like them, but they're all three from Buffalo. But yeah, Road Running, I'll check that out.
Check it out. I think you would like it. And I just so you know, I love listening to your podcast, and it's a lot of fun. It's a blast, and just thankful that you got me on the show, and it was exciting to just chat with you. So
hey, I appreciate that. You take the time to listen to our show, man. That means the world to me because I'm just a dude sitting in my daughter's old bedroom in Weldon Spring, Missouri. I mean, I'm sitting here right off the Missouri River, just chilling. But I'm excited to get to go down to run. That's gonna be fun. Yeah.
And if you want to, you know, I'm going to Tokyo Disneyland and then, you know, Disneyland in California. So
when you do, shoot me an email so I can get you on the calendar so it doesn't take so long.
Okay.
Like, you know, like 3 months before you're going, give me a heads up and we'll get you on there so you get at it quicker.
All right, sounds good.
First time that's gonna be especially Disneyland, because at least I can Tokyo, I'll be like,
well, I'll let you know when I do California Disneyland, and then I can just sprinkle in a little bit of Tokyo Disneyland.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about it. I'll just be like, okay, this sounds. Here's the whole show.
Well, I've read about Tokyo Disneyland, and I just people. So that my two main sources of information for Disney World stuff is Be Our Guest, you guys, and then a blog called Disney Tourist Blog. I'm not sure if you ever heard of it.
Oh, yeah, Tom Bricker. Yeah, Tom Bricker. I've met him a few times.
Yeah. So he's big on Tokyo Disneyland and kind of got sold on that. And the more I read about it, people say it's a pretty amazing park. So
it is.
Check it out. It'll be a one and done for sure. But you know,
whatever. People always say things are one and done. I said Disney World was going to be one and done. This is what I do for a living. Look at my world. Yeah. Once I start doing something, I do it all the way. Like I'm an idiot. Like I was like, I'll do a podcast for like 5 episodes, 3,000 shows. Let's see what that's like.
No quitting now.
I know, for real. Oh, hey, I got to run because I should probably pack. But hey, it's good to meet you. And like I said, just shoot me an email if you need anything, and we'll get that other shows. We'll do this again. That was a ton of fun. You're great at this.
All right, Mike. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.